I'm not even the main protagonist of this movie, but I am the narrator.
Yeah, I understand Furiosa could be considered the protagonist, but this movie is still called Mad Max Fury Road, so...
My world is fire and blood.
And dust, and gasoline, and oil, and more dust, and further dust.
I'd say all that was true while Max was still a cop, though. The fire and blood bit is him now, after he lost his family and the world went to crap.
Also, Tom Hardy is forced to speak unintelligibly cliché.
Even though you just demonstrated that you can understand him just fine.
Also, narration.
Oh, here's the narration, Sin. You're aware this came out 30 years after the last Mad Max film, right? Meaning, it's either been a while for some people, or it's the introduction to this world for others. It makes sense to explain the world as it is right now.
It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
If Max was still Mel Gibson, the answer would be fairly easy to figure out.
I get that this is a joke, but I just didn't find it that funny. And this sin would be a lot funnier if this was still Mel Gibson.
These cars made no sound until they made an appearance in the film.
That's a directorial choice. They obviously made noise in-universe, but the movie didn't show it until they popped up on camera. That's actually really clever if you think about it.
I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead.
Are you any better at running from the dead than you appear to be at running from the living?
No.
Okay, sure, you get the pleasure of making a guy run behind you as you take him to your leader, but now you have to drive all slow and I'd get tired of driving like this after 1 minute.
Okay, cool.
After patiently letting them tattoo him for hours, Max finally breaks at the mere distant idea of being branded.
I mean, I feel like branding is something everyone wants to avoid, and it's way more painful than tattooing.
Why are all these guys bald and painted white? Movie has zero interest in explaining, and while I'm tempted to remove sins for ballsiness, I have to award a sin for sheer wardrobe-driven character development.
This is not something wrong with Fury Road. This is just you asking an irrelevant question that has nothing to do with the film's story. If you really want to know why, just Google it.
It's almost like George Miller made several anti-ex machinas here. Things that make it look like Max will be safe turn out to not be all that helpful after all. Like here a minute ago you thought, damn it, he's going to escape with the random chain hanging down, but nope. I mean, it's almost like Miller's punking ex machinas. We respect that.
I get that you're removing a sin here, which you absolutely should for this awesome movie, but you're still misusing Deus Ex Machina, so a sin's a sin.
The Immortan Joe!
The Immortan part is cool, but he decided to stick with Joe? Not Immortan Hellbeast? Or Father Fury? Or Sexy Joseph the Machine? Or any other 1,000 badass things you could change your name to if you're a fascist dictator? Joe it is, I guess.
Some of these sins come from the comments section, just so you're aware. His name before the Gas Wars was Joe. The Immortan is a title, like Emperor.
Furiosa!
Movie introduces us to the awesomeness that is Furiosa here. My only question is, considering how all the attractive women are treated in this town, basically Immortan Joe's personal baby factory, how did Furiosa escape that life? I know I look like Charlize Theron, but trust me, I'm way better at driving trucks.
Immortan Joe wants all his wives to be perfect, and Furiosa is missing an arm. Now I'm hoping this still holds up, and I don't have to delete this when I watch the new Furiosa movie.
Okay, first of all, how is the region's water somehow located and contained a dozen stories up on a rock thingy? Doesn't this defy all science and gravity knowledge? Second of all, this is the least efficient water gifting system ever invented. I realize he's a dickhead, but he's literally wasting 90% of the water he's releasing right now.
They pump the water from underground. Giving water to the citizens isn't supposed to be efficient. It's meant to be a spectacle so that the populace continues to revere Joe.
I got a war boy running on empty.
Is this the only kinda clean, kinda normal looking person here? Does being kind of a doctor give you hair privileges?
Pointing things out on the screen.
Ah, sudden apocalyptic ape maids of milking. Also, here are some slave women who are being treated like literal cows. Just to drive home the point that this is a really f***ed up situation, let's literally dehumanize some fat women, society's easiest targets.
So you're sinning the movie for showing how messed up Immortan Joe is? He's a villain. Why are you sending a villain for being evil?
Your produce ain't turned to gas town.
Why didn't Furiosa wait until she was completely out of view before she made that turn?
Don't think she'd be able to, though. They can still see Gastown from here, so how could she have gotten out of their view? It's a really big truck out in the middle of the desert.
Did they hole up in a giant stone citadel where a vault already happened to be? Or lug one over from what used to be known as a bank?
My best guess is that they found a vault door and installed it here. But I have to ask again, so what? We're only 3 minutes in, and half of these sins have been just asking unimportant questions.
Splendid.
And the first thing Joe thinks after seeing Furiosa take an unexpected turn is, oh no, I bet my harem's been stolen.
Why else would Furiosa take a wrong turn? CinemaSins removes a sin here, which makes me so happy. I'll do the same.
CGI crash sticks out like a sore thumb when most of this movie is shot with practical effects.
Actually, another comment pointed out that this crash was real. The only CG thing is the guy flying out.
And look, I've got to ask, doesn't tying your blood bag on the front of the car like this somehow completely screw up your point of view? Can you see? Why not tie him to the roof?
They put the blood bags on the front of the car so the war boys not only get the blood, but the adrenaline from their blood bags.
You know, you gotta admire people who are willing to die for a cause, but making the paint huffer your god of the afterlife is taking it too far.
And you're sending in Morton Joe for being evil again, since this is his manipulation for the war boys to work for him, by having them believe they must die in battle to go to Valhalla.
Hey wait, Furiosa ripped off the Mutara Nebula maneuver from The Wrath of Khan.
Arbitrary movie reference.
This asshole cares about a compass reading instead of, just following the fugitive in front of him.
The compass reading is important as he is heading into a zero visibility situation. It's very likely he could get lost.
Fucking lightning tells Nux where the war machine is in the middle of this all-encompassing sandstorm.
Because lightning gives light? I mean, it's in the name.
This semi is able to drive close enough to a sand lightning tornado to push this other nearby vehicle into oblivion without somehow getting sucked into the tornado itself.
Because the truck is too heavy for that. Isn't that obvious?
Just in case I'm hanging around outside my truck with no weapons, I've got this hide-a-gun thing here in case of emergencies.
Well, you can never be too prepared.
That's the second time since he took possession of this gun that he's fired 3 shots to stop someone in their tracks. How many does he have left? And why is he so fucking wasteful of the precious few bullets he has? Does he need to fire 3 times as a warning twice?
This is a callback to Max being law enforcement. Like soldiers, they are trained to use a 3-round salvo at targets. Granted, they are warning shots, but that kind of training sticks with you.
Luckily, Nux has a soft sand dune to land on when pushed out of a speeding war machine.
They're in a desert. It literally doesn't matter. It's still soft.
Whatever you do, you can't be seen. I'm supposed to be alone.
Didn't you just say...
I need you here. You may have to drive the rig.
Those sound like contradictory statements.
Well, if you actually paid attention, you know why she said this. Furiosa has a deal, but she's also aware that it might go south, so she needs Max to drive off if it does. And he does stay hidden at first, so they wouldn't look again if he waits a little to get into the driver's seat.
Coincidental pregnancy noises now force us to sin babies. How do you like that, Philadelphia? You don't need to be criticized for booing Santa Claus anymore.
And now you're sinning the movie for being realistic? Don't you always sin movies for not being that? Now I'm confused about what you want from movies.
Splendid totally did not get out of the way of this rockin' time, but pregnancy bellies offer a respite from time and space. Although, I will say, despite this, George Miller remains true to the anti-ex machina by making her fall off right after this. But still, she should be dead. And dead here too. But then she does die anyway. Damn, man. So many things to sin, so many things to make up for it. Urge to sin too great.
This BS.
Angry and impotent machine gun fire.
Pointing things out on the screen.
This girl is not remotely surprised by the sudden enemy on board their escape vehicle. Not only that, but she also sees through his rambling and instantly decides this is a guy she wants to f very soon.
She literally was surprised though.
What are you doing here?
And unlike last time, where Nux tried to capture the girls, this time she can see that he's sad and wonders why.
Guy who has dedicated his entire life to impressing Joe gives up totally and joins the good guys because the power of sand boners is super strong.
Because he failed him. He tried to impress Joe, but then flunked up. And Joe even criticized it for being mediocre. Also, Jeremy says boner.
There's high ground just beyond that thing.
He means the tree.
Magical war machine towing tree just happens to be within reach in the middle of freaking nowhere.
When they reach the Vuvalini, I hope I said that right, they find out that they passed the area that was once the green place. This tree is one of the few remaining.
Tiny tree has the ability to withstand... What was it, Furiosa?
You're sitting on 2,000 horsepower of nitro-boosted war machine.
Sounds like a vehicle that needs that kind of power is probably super heavy.
Oh, so you know that this truck is heavy, and yet asked why it didn't get sucked into that tornado? Doesn't this contradict that previous sin?
Birds flying away to signify a recent big-ass explosion cliche.
So birds reacting realistically is a cliche now? How does that make any sense?
Want to know more about these assholes? Or why the father dude has a mask? Or why his followers paint themselves white? Well, too bad. F you. This movie is kicking too much ass to give you that kind of wussy backstory crap.
Another case of you asking about more world building, but once again, doesn't matter. This is just cool visuals and has nothing to do with this movie's story. And besides, you've criticized movies for giving too much exposition, so even if they did explain these things, you'd sin it anyway.
And nothing of consequence happened the next 12 hours because production-based lighting concerns.
Well, yeah, that's why they cut. Do you seriously expect to see every single second of this movie's events, which would have just padded the runtime?
Aw, he's getting a bug off his Oh, please don't eat that bug. Please don't eat. Oh, God, he ate the bug. Red alert! Red alert! He ate the goddamn bug! Red alert!
Yelling at the screen.
Why the hell is this lookout naked? Is there one good reason for that? I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to figure out how that benefits the cause.
Max literally says in this scene,
That's bait.
honestly, I know some people think of these videos as comedic, but how was it funny seeing CinemaSins not pay attention to movies?
This is our Furiosa.
Whoa, Furiosa was her name when she lived in the puppy dog tribe? Just assume she took it on when she was kidnapped by the cult of hideous rape monsters.
So the sin here is, you made an assumption, and that assumption turned out to be wrong.
Max's flashbacks don't matter much to me or the film.
It does matter though. It's part of Max's PTSD.
And like every angry parent ever threatened, they are turning this car around. Went all that way to pick up some seeds, basically.
This journey isn't entirely pointless though, since they killed Joe on the way back.
In fact, how the hell did they know Immortan Joe didn't give up and decide to go back to the Citadel? They simply assumed he'd still be hanging out, waiting, for no reason.
I doubt Joe would have quit, dude. This movie has proven that this dude is relentless.
Wait, are you sure? Is she strong enough to catch a falling Tom Hardy with one hand while driving this massive war machine?
You know Furiosa is using her metal hand, right? I feel like it gives her more strength than she already had.
Why didn't Max kick this dude out, or kill him in the first place? Did he think he'd just sit here and do nothing the whole time?
Because he didn't think of him as a threat.
Ah yes, here's the ex machina the movie's been waiting for. Thank God Max is a universal donor. And he knows how to withdraw and give blood to a dying person. After all, from what we know about Max from the first few movies, that guy is virtually a doctor.
No, this isn't a Deus Ex Machina either. From the introduction, we've known that he's a universal donor. I guess he forgot to cut that out. He knows how to give blood because he was a blood bag earlier.
Well, this movie blew our balls off. It's pretty rare a movie this good gets made, especially by a major studio. Good job, guys.
Yeah, I was tempted to give you sins for sending this movie in the first place, but then I got to this point and saw you actually remove this sin for this movie being so darn good. I have to respect that, and will remove another sin myself. A rare CinemaSins win. And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is his And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is his And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is his manipulation. Okay. And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is his oh my And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is his oh my gosh. Yeah, I can already see this is going in the outtakes. And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is... Man, I failed that one again. Come on. And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is his oh my gosh. Since this is his manipulation. Man. This is his... Man, why did I write it this way? And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil... And... Okay. And you're sending Immortan Joe for being evil again, since this is his minute. Oh my gosh! It's such a tongue twister. Okay. Come on.